So I think that men should pay on first dates. I've said that many times. My opinion on it's not going to change. But then people ask me, well, like first dates are one thing, but how many dates should the guy pay on? And I think, it's like not my place to tell you how to conduct your relationship. Once you're in an actual relationship, you have to do what works for you. But then if you're asking me what I think is fair or what I think is reasonable, American women were denied suffrage between 1788 and 1920. So I think for like the first 132 years you're dating, maybe he should pay on dates.
I mean, the logic is just flawless. I think that dating might be over. Like, I think it's done. I think it has served its purpose. For our parents' generation, perhaps, asking people out on dates and dating them was a useful, paradigm for people to get together romantically and form partnerships. But for this modern generation moving forward, I don't think that dating is useful as a concept. Asking women out on dates is not helping men. That's not masculine. It's not successful. Women are not finding that frame attractive. I think it's time to just get rid of it. Perhaps back when there was more equality between the genders, some respect going back and forth between men and women, like, oh, he's lucky to get a girl like her and she's lucky to get a guy like him, then it made sense to go out on dates, to ask women on dates. As you get to know each other, it's fair, it's equal, that makes sense. But this modern dating market has just shifted all of the old rules and made a bunch of them completely obsolete. Now, women are so much more in demand in the dating market. They're the treasured ones, they're the valued ones, they're who's special. And men are so disposable, and there's so many of them, and they're so thirsty that there's no way that you can go on a date in the sense of two equal people sort of examining each other's, flaws and potential virtues and have that work. It just doesn't make any sense. Things have gone too far. It's done. I don't mean to sound unnecessarily alarmist or doom and gloom, but it really does seem to me that things have gotten to the point where women interpret men asking them out on dates as inherently a needy act. It's very difficult to come across as a strong, masculine, confident, high-value guy if you're asking her out on a date. That's not seen as sweet and respectful anymore. I think it's being interpreted now as a little bit needy and clingy. You have to think about what this is like from the woman's perspective, okay? Imagine she is a young, beautiful girl. How many guys are hitting on her every single week? How many guys are flirting with her? How many guys are asking her out on dates? She's bombarded with male attention all the time. Unfortunately, there are lots of men out there who are not able to handle rejection from women. They either become really sad and despondent, they sort of play the victim and try and emotionally manipulate the girl into feeling pity for them, or they become aggressive and start getting angry at her, or passive aggressive. Unfortunately, after encountering a number of men like this, it means that women can be nervous about the perception that they might be leading a man on. They don't want to have to deal with a man's emotions, especially if they're not even dating him. And so any suggestion that she might have been enticing him to believe that there was a romantic future between the two of them, she's going to act in such a way as to absolutely reject that. And so if he asks her out on a date, she's not thinking, oh, what a nice, neutral, no pressure situation where the two of us can get to know each other, see if there might be any romantic potential. If there is, great. If there's not, no big deal. She's thinking, oh God, this guy is interested in me, romantically. I don't know how I feel about him one way or the other yet. I would need to get to know him more. But I'm terrified of potentially leading him on, because what if he's one of these emotionally unregulated men who's going to get sad or angry at me if I reject him romantically? No, I'm not sure about him yet, so it's not safe for me to even say yes to a potential exploratory date. That's not a safe thing for me to do. I've said it so many times on this channel, but women do not want to take responsibility for male emotions. That's not the way that they are wired. From an evolutionary perspective, women have always expected men to take care of them. And so when a man is having an emotional display, an emotional reaction, a woman's thinking, that's not me, that's not what my job is, it's not my role to regulate your emotions for you. That's your responsibility. You're a man, you're meant to be taking care of me. So for some women, if they feel neutral about a man, but he asks her out on a date, it can fill her with panic, the thought of, okay, if I agree to go and spend 2-3 hours with this man, go for a walk, go to dinner, whatever it might be, he is setting aside his time specifically for me. I am now responsible for how that man feels in that 2-3 hour window. But I don't want that. I don't want to feel that amount of responsibility. That's too much pressure. There's just this sense now that the very label of we're going on a date, that whole paradigm, that frame is just too much. There's too much pressure. It communicates too much intent and interest. And women don't want to take on any of that obligation. That just feels disgusting to them. Luckily, there is an alternative. There is a way to interact with women, to get to know them and potentially vet them as a romantic partner that doesn't involve asking them out on dates or going on dates with them. And we're going to talk about that in a moment. Establish that it's not a good idea to be asking women out on dates. It puts too much pressure on them. It's an outdated paradigm. So what are you meant to do instead? Okay. Think about for a moment what kind of a life a really high quality, high value guy is living. Well, obviously, as a high quality masculine guy, he's going to be extremely busy. Somebody who is high value like him, he's going to have his life filled up with interesting opportunities, exciting, fun events. He's also going to be extremely social. He's going to have lots of friends, people who want his attention, people who want to spend time with him because he's such a high value guy. He's also going to have extremely high standards. If he's a high quality guy with lots of self-esteem and he knows his worth, then he's only going to spend time with other high-quality individuals. And so, knowing all that about him, you have to ask, what kind of dating life is he going to have? Does he have time when he barely knows a girl to just sit across from her at a restaurant, getting to know her on the off chance that he might spark some kind of connection with her? No, he's going to be too busy for that. With his schedule already jam-packed with interesting work opportunities and fun and exciting, events with friends, he doesn't have time to set aside just to go on dates. And so what he's going to do is ask women to join him on activities that he's already doing. The benefit of this, from the woman's perspective, is that she's not going to feel any pressure, right? When he says, hey, I'm going to this thing on Saturday, you're welcome to join me if you want, it's not like, I'm setting aside time specifically for you, so you better make this count, and I'm putting, a lot of emphasis on you and a lot of expectations. She reads that like, oh, he's going to this thing, I can tag along if I want to. He's already living his life. That's great. She loves that. There's no pressure then. So maybe he has some kind of morning fitness routine that he always does. He always goes for a jog around the river or the park or whatever it might be. Perhaps he could invite her along to that. Or he always gets a coffee afterwards at this particular place when he's done his run, and he could invite her to join him at that part. Maybe he's looking for a new apartment, or he's interested in real estate, and so he spends his Sundays going to look at open houses. He's planning on doing that anyway. He invites her to come along. Or one of my personal favorites, if he has a social invitation to a dinner night, a concert, a party with a lot of his friends, he could invite her to come along with him. The reason why I'm such a fan of inviting women to pre-existing social events is because it removes that pressure that exists when you're just one-on-one with a person, when you are the only thing that's standing between them and an awkward experience or total isolation and abandonment. When there are other people around, then that social tension is diffused. It also has the benefit of showing to her what kind of a lifestyle it is that you live, what kind of individuals that you spend time with. Now, if you're a high quality guy and you're spending time with other high quality individuals, really ambitious, high achieving men, really sweet feminine women, then you're going to want to bring prospective girlfriends into that circle so that she can see what kind of a quality social circle it is that you have. That's going to play in your favor. It's going to make you a lot more attractive. She's going to look at this tribe of people and go like, wow, this is a really great community. I'm really impressed by his social circle. I would want to be a part of that. Big points for you. Perhaps you even have a couple of close male friends who you know are going to talk you up in front of this girl. Like, oh, you're here with this guy? Man, he's great. I've known him since kindergarten, one of my best friends, really amazing guy, Obviously more subtle than that, but what she wants to witness is how other people treat you, because you're basically a stranger to her, and she doesn't know whether or not you're a high value guy based purely on what you say. What she wants is social evidence. But in your social circle where you're liked, admired, respected, then she's going to see other people interact with you in a really positive way. That's all going to play in your favor. She's going to go like, wow, these guys seem to respect him a whole lot. The girls really seem to like him. They think he's a high value guy. He's very attractive. Suddenly, I'm feeling the exact same way about him. You know, women, they do take their cues a lot from how other people interact with you. Women are highly social creatures. That's how they're wired. If you think back to evolutionary times, women were sitting around the camp raising each other's children, doing chores together, foraging for berries, but at all times, it's very, very social. They're interacting with other people, and so their brains are really wired to be perceptive of what other people's opinions are. You can use that in your favor. The next suggestion comes from the inspiration of this video, a guy called Fred Blogs, shout out to you Fred, who commented on one of my videos saying that his favorite date is just to invite a woman around for dinner. The reason that it works for him is because he's a good cook, and so it gives him the opportunity to demonstrate his skills, also where he lives, right? So think about this from your perspective. If you have an amazing house, like a beautiful garden, you've got a really good aesthetic taste, great artwork, you know, interesting musical instruments maybe lying around that you could play. When you invite a woman around to your island, you know, your kingdom, then she gets the full impact of who it is that you are. There's lots of conversation starters. She gets to see you in your element, and if you're able to cook a great meal, you're staying active, you're staying busy while she's, you know, there basically trying to keep up with you, make a good impression on you, that frame is really, really positive. Of course, this does potentially go back into the realm of, well, if you're inviting a girl round for dinner where you're cooking for her, is that not some kind of a date? And look, it depends on how you frame it, how you ask her out. But if you're really worried about this, you can always invite round some more of your friends. Just say to her like, hey, I have friends round for dinner quite often on Sunday nights. You know, we eat some food, we drink some wine, we play some board games afterwards. Would you like to join us sometime? Again, it's really going to play in your favor because you're the alpha of that situation. You're the host. People are coming to you. You're feeding them, and she's going to sense that leadership energy from you. You know, it's another opportunity to show off your skills. But of course, it doesn't have to be cooking. Whatever it is that you happen to be good at, some activity that you do, whether it's rock climbing or dancing or art, like if you're taking a class and you're learning about something, feel free to invite her along. Really, this is just dating in a smart way. Like, why would you put yourself in an artificial environment, like across from her in a restaurant, where you're basically just using your words to try and convey your value, when you could take her for an adventure in your own life, where she can see the full glory of the lifestyle that you lead? And the most important thing is that it's a no pressure situation from you. I cannot stress this enough. Women hate the feeling like a man's life depends on her and her actions. It's completely antagonistic to how she's wired. It's not in a woman's biology. To feel like a man is hugely affected by her and her moods and what she's doing and her plans is really, really unattractive. She basically wants the man to be a rock, a pillar, something completely unshakable, unreachable to her. She can throw all kinds of feminine chaos, but he, as a masculine pillar, is unshakable. He's firmly planted in the ground. So if you're just living your life, doing your thing, and she's welcome to come and go at her own leisure, you're not changing your plans based on her, that's what she's going to find attractive. That gives her this no pressure perspective to really observe you and get to know you and actually judge your merits as a romantic partner. And trust me, if you're coming at this from a strong frame, demonstrating your skills, demonstrating your social value, then you're going to be massively attractive to her. This all